Two kids from Cambridge walked into Hollywood with a script nobody believed they had written. They were right not to believe it. It was too good. Good Will Hunting, 1997. A $10 million film that made $225 million. 2 Oscars. One of the most famous improvised scenes in cinema history. 16 facts. One of them is about a scene 2 writers hid in their own script as a trap. Another is about the last line of the film, which was never written down. Fact 1. Matt Damon wrote the script as a homework assignment. He failed the class. In a playwriting course at Harvard, the assignment was a 1-act play. Damon submitted the first 40 pages of a feature film instead. His professor gave him poor marks. Damon moved to Los Angeles, showed the pages to Ben Affleck, and the two spent the next 3 years turning it into a finished screenplay. One of the most celebrated screenplays in modern American cinema started as a failed homework assignment that earned its author a poor grade. Fact 2. They buried a scene in the script to find out which studio executives had actually read it. After leaving Castle Rock, they shopped the script to every major studio. All said no. Before each meeting, they had inserted a scene in which Will and his therapist become physically intimate. No context, no setup, dropped without explanation into the middle of the script. Harvey Weinstein called. His first note, "You've got to lose that scene between Will and Sean." That was how they knew Miramax had read it. Every other studio had not. Fact 3. Castle Rock bought the script for $675,000. Their first move, replace the writers with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. The script triggered a bidding war almost immediately. Castle Rock won. Then came the condition. The leads should be recognizable stars. Damon and Affleck had always intended to play the parts themselves. Castle Rock refused. Damon and Affleck walked. Fact 4. The character of Skylar was named after Damon's real girlfriend. She left him for the drummer of Metallica before filming began. Damon wrote Skylar Satenstein directly into the script. She left him for Lars Ulrich of Metallica before a single frame was shot. Damon and Minnie Driver, who played Skylar on screen, began a relationship during production. Skylar Satenstein and Lars Ulrich married in 1997 and divorced in 2004. Fact 5. Will Hunting was originally a physics genius. A Nobel Prize winner told them to change it. Sheldon Glashow, Nobel laureate in physics, Harvard professor, read the script and recommended switching the subject to mathematics. His brother-in-law, MIT mathematician Daniel Kleitman, then worked with Damon and Affleck to make the mathematical dialogue authentic. Kleitman appears as a background extra in the film. Fact 6. Sean Maguire. The therapist who reaches Will where everyone else fails was based on 2 real people, Damon's mother and Affleck's father. The warmth, the directness, the combination of intelligence and emotional availability. That was the character they had grown up with, split between 2 parental figures. Robin Williams brought his own version of that to the role, but the foundation had been there since the first draft. Fact 7. Mel Gibson spent months developing the film as director. Damon told him to his face, "We're getting too old." After Miramax acquired the script, Gibson was Weinstein's first choice. He met with Damon and Affleck, liked the material, and began developing it. Months passed. Damon eventually said directly to Gibson, "If this keeps going, Ben and I won't be able to play these parts anymore." Gibson understood and stepped aside. Fact 8. Michael Mann wanted to turn Will and his friends into car thieves, and he wanted Damon out of the lead. Mann had 2 conditions. The South Boston group should be stealing cars, and Damon shouldn't play Will Hunting. The producers asked Mann to at least screen test Damon. Mann watched the test and still wanted him gone. The producers disagreed. Mann left. Gus Van Sant came in. Damon and Affleck's suggestion, because they felt his style matched the material exactly. A failed homework assignment, a bidding war, a buried scene used as a reading test. Mel Gibson, Michael Mann. Up to here, how the film got made. From here, what happened on set. Fact 9. Robin Williams improvised the entire scene about his wife farting in her sleep. The camera is shaking because the operator was laughing. The scene in which Sean tells Will about his late wife, that she once farted so loudly she woke the dog, then woke herself up and looked at him, was not in the script. Williams invented it on the day. Damon's laughter is completely genuine. The camera shakes noticeably in several shots. 60 takes, because no one in the room could hold it together. The scene that best explains why Sean and Will finally trust each other was never written down. It was said once in a room and kept. Fact 10. Williams also improvised the last line of the film. "Son of a bitch, he stole my line." When Sean reads Will's farewell note and realizes Will used his own words back at him, that reaction was not scripted. Williams said it in the moment. Damon has said in multiple interviews that it was Williams' single greatest contribution to the film. The last line of Good Will Hunting belongs to a man who never wrote a word of the screenplay. Fact 11. It's not your fault. Williams and Damon rehearsed the scene once. On the third real take, Damon broke down completely. So did Williams. Gus Van Sant made a deliberate decision. Minimal rehearsal, maximum exposure. The scene in which Sean repeats the same words to Will until they finally land, that required both men to be genuinely unprepared. By the third take, Damon wasn't performing grief. Williams held him. The camera stayed running. Van Sant kept the take. There was no better version of it, and everyone in the room knew it. Fact 12. Damon and Affleck cried on the first day of filming. After years of rejections, after Castle Rock and the bidding war and Gibson and Mann, the first day of principal photography arrived. Damon wept. Affleck maintains to this day that he was only misty-eyed. Nobody on set believed him then. Nobody believes him now. Fact 13. Damon left Harvard 12 credits short of graduating. He packed the unfinished script, drove to Los Angeles, and never went back to finish either one. When he was cast in the western Geronimo, he made the decision: Los Angeles, not Cambridge. He took the unfinished script with him. The degree stayed unfinished too. 5 years later, he was holding an Oscar. Fact 14. The resentment toward Harvard students in the bar scene was Affleck's, not a character choice, a personal one. Damon attended Harvard. Affleck had only a little college. The gap between Will Hunting and the students he humiliates in the bar, that tension came directly from Affleck's experience of feeling on the outside of something Damon had been on the inside of. He said later, "All that resentment in Good Will Hunting about people who went to college came from me." Fact 15. Ben Affleck was 25 when he won the Oscar. Matt Damon was 27. The two youngest winners of the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay in history. They sat in the front row next to Jack Nicholson. When their names were called, they delivered what is now widely considered one of the worst Oscar acceptance speeches ever given. Too long, too disorganized, too raw. Affleck has publicly apologized for it. Damon has not. Both laugh about it. Fact 16. Robin Williams died in August 2014. The last line of the film is still his. Williams said about the role, "What can you give a kid like that? The one thing you can give him is just saying, 'I know who you are.'" He knew who Will Hunting was. He knew it because he had been there himself. The part that drew him in wasn't the genius, it was the fear underneath it. He never asked for the last line back. It still ends the film. Every time the credits roll, the last human voice you hear is his. Bonus. A homework script, a bidding war, a sex scene planted as a trap, 2 men who cried on the first day of shooting, a Nobel Prize winner who changed the subject, Mel Gibson who stepped aside, Michael Mann who didn't get the job, 60 takes of a scene about a fart. Ben Affleck was 25. Matt Damon was 27. He said about the role, "I know who you are." He knew. Son of a bitch, he stole my line.